All right. Good morning, everyone. It's Kris Kaylin with Black Southern Belle. And I feel like this is like my favorite guest because we always have the most amazing conversations. But I am here with Miss Anita Prather-Singleton. How are you this morning?
I am blessed, sweetheart. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I'm loving that yellow. You look so radiant this morning.
Oh, thank you.
And honestly, I feel like I'm that person, but I don't know if it's too early yet, but we're getting ready to talk about the holidays. I feel like once October, November starts to roll around, it's just time for the holidays. Am I right?
That's right. That's right. For
And
real.
if you're just jumping on this live, we are talking about the holidays and what Miss Anita has up her sleeve. So we're going to be covering the Gullah Christmas Theater Show. It's a rice contest I'm hearing about, all of the Gullah Christmas traditions. So we are going to hop into it. So my first question for you, the Gullah Christmas Theater Show, Christmas Wish Freedom. So can you tell us the inspiration behind this particular play?
Yeah. Well, it's the last Christmas before the Civil War, and there's a lot of talk on the plantations. The masters are talking about they're not going to let any Yankees tell them what to do with the enslaved Africans on the plantation, and so there's a lot of talk about going to war. And so we see that as freedom is soon to come for us. And that's our wish for that year. And that's 1860, December of 1860. And on December 20th of 1860, all the plantation owners from all over South Carolina go up to Charleston, to Institution Hall, and they sign those articles of succession that were first drafted right here in downtown Beaufort, right off of Craven Street, where they had been talking about succeeding from the Union and starting their own country. And so that's exactly what happens on December 20th, when all the plantations, like I said, from all over South Carolina gather at Institution Hall, and they sign those articles in South Carolina on that December 20th of 1860, succeeds from the Union. So we're excited, not because South Carolina succeeded, but because we know freedom is soon to come.
Right.
And there's a lot of, Christmas itself brings a lot of welcomed chaos, if for lack of a better term. There's a lot of people coming and going on the plantation. Family members are coming from afar, coming to visit and bringing their enslaved servants with them. And so even if we didn't get a chance to get a holiday pass to go visit our loved ones, we welcome those that were coming in from other plantations that could possibly give us some information about who died, who had a baby, who escaped to freedom. And so all of that is going on the plantation. And so we bring all of that excitement of that last Christmas, that Yuletide season, just before the war starts, in the physical. We bring that alive through musical theater on stage. And so,
And first of all, that sounds so amazing because I have so many questions after that. With slavery being such a thing, and clearly you do I refer to you as a historian because I just feel like you're filled with so much knowledge. But how do you think, like, at that time, they were still able to find joy and celebrate the holidays?
one of our superpowers was our music.
Mm.
And we could start, and it was the one thing that they would allow us to do without permission. And we would use that music as code songs, of course, to get information out that needed to go out. But our music could transcend our spirits beyond our physical limitations and boundaries. And again, Christmas time, one of the things Frederick Douglass once wrote in his autobiography, that Christmas time was the one time that the enslaved Africans had enough to eat and enough time to eat it in. Christmas time, a lot of times was called a week of Sundays, because for the field hands, we would get half a day on Saturday off and Sunday off. Those in the big house didn't quite get that because they had to be at the beck and call of the master and his household 24/7. But during Christmas time, there's a book that's called Christmas in the Big House, Christmas in the Quarters, and it
Wow.
talks about how the young bucks would ask the masters, "How long will we have off for the holiday season?" And the master would say, "As long as the Yule log burns." So of course we would send somebody to get the biggest and the wettest log from the swamp because we wanted it to burn slow. And so
Right.
you had that extra time that was given off because it was after the harvest time. And so we had maybe, 4 to 5 days as opposed to just a day and a half. And so we called it a week of Sundays. And you had an opportunity to like the young bucks would get an opportunity to maybe sip libations with the masters. I mean, things that you just didn't get a chance to do. And the good thing about the arrogance of the masters was they were so arrogant and so prideful that they would think we would be so elated with the extra rations that we would be given, or the fabric that we would be given, the muslin we would be given to make the new dress or whatever, the new pair of shoes for the adults. The children usually didn't get any shoes unless they were hand-me-downs. But that we wouldn't think about escaping. We wouldn't think about doing all the things that we were forbidden to do. But that was the opportune time. So Christmas time became a good time to plan the escape. It was
Yeah.
a good time to try to learn how to read and write because there was so much going on, people coming on and leaving. And like I said, sometimes the plantation owners would actually give you a pass to go visit your loved ones. So by the time they figure out that you weren't coming back, because they gave you maybe 5 days to a week to
Right.
visit, by the time they figure out you weren't coming back, you could be way up the road towards freedom. So it was
Yes.
a good time to escape. They had on some plantations, especially in the Virginia area and some of the upper country, they had what they call pit schools. And pit schools was exactly what it says. It was a pit, a deep pit that was dug, and it was camouflaged over. So while all the extra stuff that was going on the plantation to distract the overseer or the plantation owner, then people would go down there and secretly learn how to read and write in the pit schools.
Wow.
Christmas time was also a popular time to get married for the enslaved Africans. Even though enslaved marriages were not legal, they were
Mhm.
encouraged because the masters felt like if a man was connected to a wife and children, he would not be ready to try to escape. And
Right.
so it was encouraged. And if you didn't get married during Christmas time, when you had the extra time and you had the extra ration and people were there, then it was a good time to get engaged and maybe get married later on in the spring. So all of that comes alive on stage in this
Wow.
particular musical.
And I'm just so excited. I can only imagine just seeing the reenactments and the full experience. So the show is described as an excursion back in time to the last Christmas before the Civil War. So what aspects of the Gullah perspective and Christmas daily customs in that era, what will be highlighted in the show from that time?
Like I said, the pit school, jump in the broom. There's an escape scene. In fact, in one of Harriet Tubman's biography, I think in 1858 is when she came back and got her parents and helped them escape to freedom. So all of those different pieces is put into the play. So they'll see all of that. And of course, the celebration at the wedding with the square dancing. And it was the one time you'll see, and the stage is divided up into 3 sections. One section being the dining room of the big house. Another section opposite of that would be, of course, the one room that we had in the quarters. And in the middle represented Africa and outside and that kind of stuff. So we transitioned between those contrasting viewpoints.
Yeah.
the enslaved Africans that's in the big house, the house servants, polishing silver and beating the rugs and, fixing Missy's hair and that kind of stuff. And then those of us that's in the corners getting stuff ready, gathering nuts, gathering, vegetables to prepare the feast, the Christmas feast, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
And even when you talk about this, so just a little off topic. So maybe a couple years ago, I had a chance during the holidays. Historic Charleston Foundation, they had a holiday event at the Aiken Red House, which is
Mhm.
downtown off of
Right.
on the east side. And when I tell you that was like my first time, and I will say, being a native of Charleston, I just feel like it's I love the history, but just like how other people like glorify slave culture is just it's a little weird to me, right? So when they had the Christmas event there, and like I said, every time I would walk past it, the gates are closed. I can never see on the inside. So that was my first time. And immediately when you walked in, it was like all the slave houses, and like they had, verbiage, pretty much everything that you're saying inside this house. And it's just kind of like, the fact that they had to make a holiday out of this, and then to see how close the big house was. I just feel like when I walked in, I got chills everywhere. But just hearing how you describe everything, I was just
Mhm.
like, it's crazy to me. But how does the Gullah Traveling Theater Company ensure the authenticity of historical reenactments and Gullah customs portrayed in the musical?
I'm constantly doing research, hearing, trying to hear stories that came, especially from primary sources, if possible. Um, and one of the things I try to remind people of is that we were not monolithic. We are not monolithic people.
Yeah.
That different experiences happened at different places. In Beaufort, we had a little more autonomy than other places, because of the isolation of some of the plantations being on the Sea Islands and Barrier Islands, and you had to go by boat to different places. So a lot of the things were kept intact, some of the traditions. Um, one of the traditions that we share with the children is the exchange, the gift exchange. Um, the children would bring eggs that they gathered in a basket, and they would take that to the mistress of the plantation, and in exchange they would get maybe a peppermint stick or a jihad stick or rag dolly. The slave mothers would make rag dolls for their children, and just how they would take whatever they had to try to make it special. You didn't always get sugar or molasses to make something sweet. So Christmas time was that time when we were able to make a sweet bread, which was a treat. And you know, uh, things like that. Gathering nuts to take to the big house, carving a walking stick for one of the elders. So whatever we had, we made it special. I'm taking scraps to make maybe a patchwork, a quilt, or an apron to give as a gift.
That's beautiful. And because it's so sentimental, it just has so much more to it. So what are some of the challenges you face, but what is most rewarding about doing such a culturally significant play?
When we get the school children that come in, they bust the kids in. We start on. We used to do Friday show, 4 student shows during the day, and then the full stage production that night, along with a Gullah marketplace. And then we had to eventually add a Thursday show. And so now we open up on Thursday with a symposium. We do a free symposium. We partner with the University of South Carolina Beaufort campus as our co-sponsors. And we have a Sierra Leone Gullah Geechee cultural exchange symposium. And our featured guest and keynote speaker be Mr. Amadou Masale. He's originally from Freetown, Sierra Leone. He now lives in Dallas, Texas. He's on our board of the Gullah Traveling Theater, and he has gone all over the African diaspora, connecting the dots of where did the Gullah Geechee people go after we were kidnapped from Sierra Leone, or came out of Bunce Island off the coast of Sierra Leone. And so he's gone to the Caribbean. He's been down to Mexico. He's been down, in Texas, where some of us was taken as part of the Trail of Tears, Trinidad, and different places all along that transatlantic middle passage voyage. And so he'll be our keynote speaker for our symposium that starts 9 o'clock it's 9 to 1 on that Thursday, December the 4th at USCB at the Center for the Arts. And then that night, we do the opening night of Gullah Gullah Wish Freedom, the musical. And then Friday morning, we have 3 student shows. So that's my excitement when I see the kids' eyes open up and we get to bring some of them on stage to be part of. They get to sing some of the songs and do some of the reenactment with us. And to go back and see them 5 years later and they're singing our songs and still remember parts of the play, and encourage their parents to bring them back on Friday night to the show.
I love that because
yes.
And a lot of times when you're teaching history through art, it just makes it stick a little bit more. I will definitely say that. So if anyone is on the live may not be familiar, we are a people of rice. We are a rice culture. So what is the history and significance of rice with the rice cook-off in the Gullah community in the Sea Island Gullah Christmas celebration?
Rice was one of the number one reasons why they came and kidnapped us to bring it, because we were master rice cultivators. Sierra Leone, Senegal, Gambia, all of that's part of the rice coast. And we possessed those skills that made the plantation owners before the Revolutionary War some of the richest people. In fact, the wealth that was produced through the expertise of those Africans with those skills in South Carolina was more than the wealth of the other 12 original colonies put together. That Carolina gold rice was worth its weight in gold. And so they came looking, they paid more money for Africans that came from that area than from some of the other areas, because we came with those skills that produce so much wealth. And so that's part of who we are, what we are, that cannot be erased. I don't care how they tried to erase our history, the greatness is still there. And so we always want young people to understand the connection to not just, seeing us as victims, but really experts. The expertise and the ingenuity that Africans brought in, the culture that we brought in. We weren't a cultureless people. We are where culture begins, and they need to know that. And so rice is that anchor. And so we, being as creative as we are, we were constantly creating new dishes, how to prepare things. And so when people need to know that Gullah cuisine is one of the fastest growing cultural eating experiences in the United States.
Yes, it definitely.
So rice is the basis of that. You can't talk about Gullah food without talking about rice.
Hello, red rice, pearl rice, yellow rice, every type of rice.
Okra rice, peas and rice.
Everything. And even when you were going back, just being an expert in rice, and it's just kind of like, and I love how you say, we were experts at these things. Long before DEI came around, we've always been experts at certain things. So, being on this rice topic, are there any specific Gullah Christmas traditions or ingredients that are particularly important for rice dishes in this particular rice contest that y'all are going to be doing?
Yeah, well, this year, one of the things this year, we've added a youth division. And cash prizes are will be awarded. Um, for the adult division, the top cash prize is 3,000. For the youth, it's 500. Um,
I have to
and
make some
so,
nice, honey.
mhm. So, and we've the location where they'll prepare their rice is at the uh, BCC, which is a couple of blocks from the venue that we have the Saturday event. Um, the whole event on Saturday is called a Gullah Taste of Christmas, and that used to be part of the Friday night offering. So when you paid for your ticket to come see the show, about an hour and a half before the show would be the Taste of Gullah. And you would go from table to table. We had different Gullah chefs and Gullah caterers or Big Mama's Pots. And you could go taste the food as much as you wanted. And then that became as big as the show itself. And we had to split it and turn it
Wow.
into a 2-day event, which is now a 3-day event with the symposium. So, yeah, so now the Taste of Gullah, like I said, everything on Thursday and Friday is at the University Center for the Arts. And then on Saturday, we go out to our beautiful downtown waterfront park, the Henry C. Chambers Waterfront Park, and with live entertainment, other food vendors, Kitty Village, arts and crafts, all that kind of stuff. And then the rice cook-off is part of that. And so, yeah, and we live stream by way of Facebook and whatever y'all do with this live streaming stuff.
Yes.
The chefs preparing their rice at a single location. And then at 12 o'clock, they bring their rice down to the waterfront. And at 1 o'clock, we start the tasting with people that's there, the People's Choice tasting. And then at 3 o'clock, the judges start judging. And it's a blind taste test.
Oh.
And so the chefs get to prepare whatever their favorite rice dish is. It doesn't have to just be red rice. Like I remember the first year, red rice won. The second year, peas and rice won. The
Really?
third year, it was a seafood rice that won. And then last year again, I think it was red rice again. So, it just, whatever you think your favorite rice is, if you think you got a pot that can win $3,000, come on and let's do it.
You know what? I might have to take you up on that opportunity. I mean, why not? Okay, so this just sounds like a really good time. So beyond the theater show and the rice cook-off, what are some other unique Gullah Christmas traditions that are celebrated during the Sea Island's Gullah Christmas celebration?
Dance. We didn't get a chance to touch and feel each other a lot of times. During the day on the plantations and the fields, you couldn't gather, but just to be able to gather together and dance and to sing and the banjo playing. A lot of people don't know the banjo is the grandfather instrument of the banjo, and we brought that from West Africa as well. The shakeré music and the hand clapping and the foot stumping. We made music, and music brought us together. One of the things growing up for us was what we call Christmas wine, a Coca-Cola wine, and it was made by a local family, the Whites, down in Broomfield, part of the island area off of Ladies Island, and they would make this blackberry. It was made out of blackberries, and my daddy would buy a gallon or two every Christmas. And we would be so excited to get that Christmas wine, Coca-Cola wine, whatever you want to call it. And of course, fruit cakes.
Right.
And, in October would be hog butchering time, when you would butcher the hogs to get the meat smoked and prepared for the Christmas holiday so you could have the Christmas ham, stuff like that. Gathering berries and barks and stuff to dye the Muslim cloth for clothing. All of those things was part of that whole magical season. And like I said, preparing to escape.
Yes.
Preparing to escape. Mm.
Absolutely. So, can you elaborate a little bit more on a Gullah Christmas Sunday, Worship and Explore, and what the visitors can experience by visiting such a historic Gullah congregation in the Low Country?
Of course, one of the good things again about Beaufort is that Beaufort, right at the beginning of the Civil War, um, became headquarters for the Union Army. So it was never uh, bombed or burned or anything like parts of Charleston and Atlanta and Savannah, Columbia. So because it became one of the headquarters, a lot of those uh, historical homes and landmarks are still intact. And so people could actually come and see where Harriet Tubman walked. People don't know that she spent 3 years here in Beaufort
Wow.
during the war and post Civil War. Um, the Beaufort National Cemetery that is the sacred site of USCT, United States Colored Troops that were uh, Civil War vets. That's here. Um, you have Fort Fremont, because we do Gullah tours as well. You have St. Helena Episcopal Church, which was the oldest church in Beaufort, founded in 1712. Beaufort was founded in 1711. It's the second oldest uh, city in South Carolina, Charleston being the first. Um, we have the Emancipation Proclamation tree, where the first reading, public reading of the Emancipation Proclamation took place. You got First African Baptist Church, Tabernacle Baptist Church, when those Africans were freed during the Combahee River raid, and they were brought to Tabernacle Baptist Church. Robert Smalls, who was our first Black hero of the Civil War, his house, his statue is in place. So it's a lot of stuff to see, a lot of things to see, a lot of things to explore. Because like I said, we do have the Gullah Heritage Tours that people can take on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to get another feel of that history and what would have been going on.
And what
And
I
a lot
love
of
about
people don't, and let me just say that a lot of people don't know that Beaufort, we often hear about, Virginia being the Jamestown, Virginia being the founding of America. But 40 years before there was a Jamestown, Virginia, there was a Santa Elena in
yes.
Beaufort, and Spanish settlement that was here 40 years prior to the English settlement of Jamestown. So America, as we know it, actually started here in Beaufort County on Parris Island Marine Corps Recruit Depot. That was the site of that settlement. And so all of that's part of the experience. People can we have the boat parade that Saturday after we finish up the rice cook-off that starts about 5:30 right down there at the waterfront park. The Presbyterian Church they have a collection of nativity scenes that's on exhibit that people can visit for free to see that. So it's a lot of things going on. If you want to kick off your holiday season and get into that, the spirit of the holiday, is no better place to start than Beaufort. And to get that warm and fuzzy feeling to get your holiday season started and to understand the significance of everybody, not just the plantation owners, but the significance of the Africans that were here, that built America, that built South Carolina, and what the contributions were and still are. And so we want to bring all of that to the forefront, and so that everybody get a chance to enjoy um, the history and not to be afraid of the history,
Yes.
not to see history as an enemy, but history is just what it is. It's history. And it's to be celebrated, it's to be shared, it's to be understood, it's to be preserved. And that's what we do.
Absolutely. And you all do such a beautiful job doing it. I'm excited. Just everything that you have coming up for this holiday season. Honestly, everything that you described just sounds like a big warm hug, from
Yeah,
the play to the rice contest to just all the activities for the kids and just everything to do. And what I love about Buford, I just feel like the Gullah history there is just so preserved so well. And it's not only to preserve well, but you teach it to younger generations so
mhm,
it never gets lost in translation. And proud Gullah Geechee people. That's
yeah.
what I love the most about Buford and the Gullah Geechee culture. And my last question, because I know you kind of you wrapped all this up so beautifully, so I just want to reiterate it one more time. What makes Beaufort, South Carolina, a premier destination for exploring Gullah culture, especially during the holidays? And that'll be your last question for today.
Well, Christmas just ain't Christmas without Aunt Pearlie Sue. New Year's just ain't New Year's with Gullah kinfolk too. You got to come because pure love, love for our culture, love for our history, love for our community. And I want to thank, the city of Beaufort and the county of Beaufort for embracing Gullah Traveling Theater and helping to sponsor a lot of what we do. We do a lot of partnership with the county as well as the city um, to present this holiday gift to the world. And so come on and enjoy it.
Absolutely. And Christmas Wish Freedom will be showing Thursday, December 4th. Make sure you get your tickets. How can they get in contact with you? How can they purchase
Yeah.
their tickets and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it's Thursday, the 4th and the 5th, and they can go to our website, gullahkinfolk.org or gullahkinfolktravelingtheater.org, and you can purchase it there. And if you know any Gullah Kinfolk performances, they have I know some people like hard copy tickets. You can purchase it from some of the kinfolks as well. But yeah, yeah. So tickets are now on sale, and go ahead and get your tickets now.
And
Yeah.
if someone wanted to enter that rice contest, how do they sign up for the rice
They can go on the website. All of that, the website is on to form for entering the rice cook-off, and we only have slots for 20 people, so you better go
contest?
ahead and yeah. So go ahead and enter. Um, so they can go again to www.gullahkinfolk.org and go to our website and go ahead and put your little rice in there. And
Well,
just
as
remember, I
always,
like greasy. I like my rice greasy. So,
you heard it here first. She's one of the judges, so make sure if you're trying to get that
yeah. Oh,
$3,000.
and yeah, and the exciting part, our host for it will be our featuring low country celebrity chef BJ Dennis. You know that
Oh,
shit
I
from.
love that.
Yeah,
I
I
love
love me
Chef
some
BJ
BJ
Dennis.
Dennis. Yes.
Woo,
So
you got
some
some
folks have
prep
seen him high
today,
on the
honey.
Hulk, and
Yes.
he's just a sweetheart. I just love him. I love him, love him. So I'm
He's a
so excited.
sweetheart. He makes sure
Mhm.
he keeps the Gullah Geechee heritage
Yeah,
alive and well. And I am, and BJ, if you're watching this, love you so much. But yes,
yeah.
so Miss Anita Prather, it's always a beautiful conversation every time I get to talk with you and speak with you. I just feel like I just learned so much more. And I honestly love Buford, so I'm going to have to get a ticket to come to that play because I really want to see. I'm a lover of the arts, Gullah Geechee, so that's just a perfect combination. So I will see you there.
All right, baby. I'm gonna hold you to that. I love you,
Yes,
sweetheart.
thank you.
God
And thank
bless.
you so much, Michelle and Black Southern Belle. And make sure you stay
Yeah,
tuned for the next interview. Have a great one. And I'm just going to say
God
happy
bless.
holidays.
God bless. Thank you, Michelle.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.